My mom went out for a drive and came back different. I don't think she's my mom anymore.
Hey, honey, I'm thinking of heading out for a drive. Care to join me?
My mother's voice echoed. Glancing up, I responded, "Thanks, Mom, but I think I'll pass. Where are you headed?" "Oh, I thought I'd take the scenic route through the forest by Rockefeller Mountain," she replied with a hint of excitement. "All right, well, have fun," I said. With a gentle kiss on my cheek, my mother departed. I sat there listening as the hum of her car's engine faded into the distance. Settling into the couch, I grabbed some snacks from the fridge and began mindlessly watching an old war film. The movie, combined with the coziness of the couch, gradually pulled me to sleep. As quickly as I fell asleep, an insistent vibration of my phone jerked me back to consciousness. Rubbing my eyes, I picked it up and was met with a series of missed call notifications, all from my mom. I tried returning her calls, but each attempt was met with her voicemail. Glancing at the clock, it read 10:48 p.m. She had left precisely at 3:23 p.m. No drive, especially on that trail, would take that long. A storm of thoughts began to rage in my head, each one more worrisome than the last. Had she gotten lost? Had the car broken down? Or was it something even worse? As all of these scenarios rolled around in my mind, a sharp, sudden sound pierced through the air. The ring of the doorbell. I sprang from the couch, feet pounding on the wooden floor as I raced to the door. The narrow view through the peephole revealed the face of my mother, but something was off. Her eyes, usually so full of warmth, seemed distant, almost hollow. Swinging the door open, my voice was a mix of relief and frustration. "Where have you been all this time?" She met my gaze, her unsettlingly vacant eyes seeming to peer right through me. Silent, she brushed past me with the air of detachment, making her way to her room without uttering a word. The next day was somewhat normal. I found her in the kitchen going through the familiar routine of preparing breakfast, but there was a change in her demeanor. Our usual conversations was absent, all replaced by silence. As I readied myself for work, I tried to bridge the gap. "Hey Mom, I'm headed off to work. See you later." All I received was a nod, a silent acknowledgement, leaving a cold space where her usual warm response would have been. I got off of work late and pulled into the driveway around 2 or 3 a.m. Trying not to make a sound, I crept into the house. I did not want to wake up my mom. I tiptoed through the dimly lit halls towards the kitchen to grab some snacks and take them to my room. But when I flicked on the kitchen light, there she was, my mom, standing still, staring outside the window towards our backyard. The sight took me aback. "Mom, why are you up? What are you looking at?" I waited for a reply, but silence hung in the air. Shrugging it off, I said, "Work was all right today. I left a bit early after some friends took off." While grabbing my stuff from the fridge, I couldn't help but ask, "You okay, Mom?" She answered, still staring out at the yard. "Yes, okay." The way she spoke was odd. It was too upbeat, like she was thrilled about something. It didn't fit the moment at all. It was just off. Grabbing my snacks, I headed straight to my room, leaving the kitchen lights on for her. Morning came with the familiar smell of breakfast. On weekends, Mom would cook since there was no rush for work. I headed downstairs, calling out, "Good morning." I grabbed some juice and sat down. She replied cheerfully, "Good morning, sweetie." Looking like her usual self, she asked about work and how I slept. I wanted to remind her that we talked the night before, but I didn't. I repeated what I'd said and she acted like it was new information. We chatted a little bit more and then settled to eat, and as I sliced my pancakes, something caught my eye. I pulled out a tiny gleaming sewing needle from the soft center. My heart raced as I held it up, asking, "Mom, what's this?" I held the needle aloft, the sharp point catching the light. This was in my pancakes," I stammered. Looking at it, her face reflected genuine concern. She hurriedly assured me, "I'm so sorry. I'd never want to hurt you, truly." Her embrace was warm and comforting. "Don't eat any more of that. I'll whip up a new one." Her words almost made me feel guilty for suspecting her. It was just so bizarre that doubt naturally crept in. The day proceeded without another hitch. Laughter, movies, gossip, and our ritualistic good night capped it off. I climbed into bed around 10:30 p.m. As a kid, I had a paralyzing fear of the dark. To combat this, my mom had placed 2 nightlights, one in my room and another in the hallway. Though my room was now devoid of the light, the hallway still had its comforting glow. Awakening for a sip of water, I froze. The glow from under my door was intermittently obscured. A shadow. Someone stood there. Stifling my breath, I watched it for what felt like an eternity. The shadow unwavering. "Mom?" I said softly. There was no reply. Instead, the shadow receded, gliding silently towards her room. Morning found me weary. The haunting shadow, the weight of the eyes on me, made sleep impossible. I confronted her at breakfast. "Mom, were you outside of my room around 3 a.m.? She evaded the question. Instead, her voice tinged with nostalgia. "Do you remember letting me brush your curls when you were little? Let's do that now." Beside the sink, conditioner and a brush awaited. Recent events screamed caution, but this was my mom. I relented, sinking into the familiarity of her touch. As she worked on my tangles, time melted away. Our conversation continued as she rinsed my hair. But as I was talking, I suddenly felt a hard grip tighten in my hair. Without warning, my head was being forced into the water filling the sink. Panic overtook me as I realized that I was being drowned. It's surprising how weak you feel in a situation like this, with your mind racing with someone using their entire weight to hold you down by the back of your head. My arms flailed, at times trying to push myself up using the edge of the kitchen counter. After what felt like an eternity, the grip released. Gasping and coughing, I pulled my head out of the water and spun around to confront my mother. "What the are you doing?" I yelled while trying to make sense of what just happened. That was the first time that I've ever cussed at my mom, but I mean, what the actual hell? She started laughing, pointing at me with one hand while slapping her knee with the other. "I got you. You should have seen your face." Staring in shock, my displeasure was clear enough that her laughter faded, replaced by a look of concern. "Come on, don't be upset. It was just a joke." She stepped closer with her arms open for a hug, and I quickly sidestepped, keeping distance between us. A wary expression evident on my face. I was genuinely afraid. That wasn't the kind of joke my mother would make. She would never take a prank to such extremes. Certainly not one that could hurt me. It was at this moment that I realized that something was terribly off about her. In fact, I began to doubt if she was really my mother at all. From then on, I became distant. Our conversations were minimal, only out of necessity. I began to avoid meals and spent my time locked in my room. Those eerie nights when she'd stand outside of my door persisted. It was like clockwork, always around the same hour, and every night, after a while, the shadow would recede. I grew more anxious, opting to leave the house frequently, taking refuge at my friends' places just to avoid being home with her. She stopped going to work altogether. During the day, she would be in the backyard, engaging in strange activities, digging random holes, thrusting a trowel into the ground, or just standing there, seemingly talking to herself, though I could never make out the words. However, last night's event is one that will forever be etched into my memory. Before drifting to sleep, I recall praying for an uninterrupted night's rest. The mere sight of her shadow under my door had become a haunting and fearsome nightly ordeal. I found myself jolted awake by the pitch blackness of my room. Reluctantly, I shifted my gaze to the bottom of the door. As I feared, her shadow was there. She was standing just outside, silent as ever. I tried to force myself back to sleep, but given the circumstances, sleep eluded me. Then something different occurred. A knock. 7 soft, deliberate knocks. After the knocks, silence consumed the room. Lying there, fear paralyzed me. What was different tonight? Why did she decide to knock now? A chilling thought struck me. My door didn't have a lock. It never did, even from my childhood. The last semblance of a barrier between us wasn't even secured. The eerie knocks resumed, more insistent this time. Reacting instinctively, I pulled the covers over my head, clinging onto those childhood beliefs of safety. But deep down, I knew it wouldn't protect me now. The sound of the door creaking open made my heart pound harder. I braced myself, waiting for the sound of footsteps, but there were none. Had she retreated, or was she just standing there watching? Minutes dragged on in terrifying silence. Then, suddenly, there was a rapid scuttling noise. It sounded impossibly fast, moving from the floor to the walls to the ceiling. The entire room echoed with it. Blind terror overcame me, thoughts racing uncontrollably. Is she crawling on all fours? How is she moving so fast? What is she doing? Am I gonna die? These fears consumed me until darkness took over. Whether from stress or sheer panic, I lost consciousness. Gratefully, it spared me from whatever horror unfolded that night. When morning light finally greeted me, my room was a mess, everything thrown into chaos. It was nowhere in sight. Did it leave? Is it still in the house? These questions remain unanswered. Gathering my courage, I finally left the safety of my bed and managed to prop a chair against the door for some semblance of security. I'm at a loss for what to do next or whom to turn to. But one thing is certain, I can't spend another night here. The house has been eerily silent since I woke up. I'm preparing to remove the chair and make a break for it. So far, there's been no sound outside of my door, which I hope means that the coast is clear. Ooh, Resinators. Okay, so I cannot lie. I was so scared the whole time I was reading this story. I just kept looking around, looking behind me, watching my back. I am actually nervous right now. So you guys have to let me know what you think about this scary story, because I think that the original poster on Reddit did an amazing job. Just so you know, this is from the subreddit Scary Stories, and the username is apprehensive-oil-914. I'll be putting the link in the description, so make sure that you go and show some love to the original poster. So guys, I found out that this person actually wrote a part 2 to this story, so if you're interested, drop in the comments part 2. Not gonna lie, I'm terrified of what part 2 is gonna bring, but I'm gonna do it for you guys. I'll do it for you, Resinators. Also, you have to let me know what you think about my newest jar. I made this for a dear friend that is gonna be leaving soon, and I made this for her to show her how much she means to me and all of our friends. Then we all wrote her sweet little notes and put them in the jar with a couple of pictures. So hopefully she'll carry this with her and know that she has people that really care about her back at home. So guys, if you like the results of this jar, make sure that you drop some yellow hearts in the comments so that I know that you stayed till the end. Also, let me know what color jar you want to see me make next, because I am really digging this flower honey pot jar look. So I'm kind of thinking I want to try pink or blue next. So let me know in the comments which color you think I should pick. All right, besties, you guys are so amazing. You make me so happy. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I will see you in the next video. Stay kind, stay amazing, and keep on resonating.